So welcome everyone. I'd like to acknowledge that we are here on the unceded territory, traditional territory of the Kakite First Nation and the Coast Salish people. Thank you so much. And it's my pleasure, as I was saying, to be here as host. I was going to have a co-host, Sylvia Taylor, but she's unable to make it and she's sending her regrets. So yes, this is going to be lovely, and Lozan is such a beautiful woman, fabulous poet, and a very good friend of mine, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm getting emotional. So, yes, I'd like to start off with a few words from how we're said.
I'm so happy to be here today with Lozan, who has been a tremendous support to many newcomers, and she's also a really big role model to a lot of Kurdish women in the community. Now, I'm not a poet, but I do believe that poetry does free. Poetry heals, and poetry can bring peace to the world. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your book, Dreams Needed, and thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you so much, Howard. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Yes, so I'm not sure if I introduced myself earlier. Did I? I can't remember. I'm Janet Quammen. If you don't know me, I know a few of you. I see some familiar faces. I'm so happy that you can make it. Yes, hi. Some of our readers are finally here. A few can't make it, like I said earlier. We had issues with the weather today. Yes. So I would like to start off by telling you a little bit about Lozan. Lozan is a Canadian citizen who migrated from Kurdistan, present-day northern Iraq, in 1995 after spending a few months as an asylum seeker in Turkey. Born in Baghdad in 1972, Lozan is the fifth of 11 children, 3 boys and 7 girls, and 1 brother had passed away as an infant. She is dedicating her 3rd book of poetry to her 2 teenage boys, Trey and Wyatt. Lozan started reciting her poems for the first time in 2013 at the Holy Wow Poets, Canada, in Maple Ridge. That's where I think where we met. I was trying to remember where we met, Lozan. Holy Wow Poets. It was either, and then you all started coming to Poetic Justice here in New Westminster. But it was around the same time. She's a member of the Canadian Authors Association and presently the Secretary of the Royal City Literary Arts Society. And I'm also the Vice President of our class, and that's how I got to work with Lozan a little bit more, and we've developed a fabulous friendship. And she works as a freelance interpreter. By 2017, Lozan was commissioned to write a poem about the refugee experience by Da Capo Chamber Choir in Toronto. The event will feature her poem, I Am Here, coming up next month in March. This is absolutely fabulous. About 4 or 5 weeks. March 9 and 10. And that's in Toronto. Wow. Waterloo, Ontario. Wow, it's unbelievable. What a fabulous thing. And they found you, I believe, on YouTube. They were looking for refugee poems and things like that. And also the poet laureate, previous poet laureate of Canada is also on the same bill with you, so that's pretty awesome. Lozan was one of the recipients of the 2018 Distinguished Poet Award from the Writers International Network Canada, and we have the president here, Ashok Bhargava, today. Yes. She was also 3rd place winner of the 2018 Tagore Festival Peace Poems Contest. Some of her poems have been published in the Royal City Poets anthologies, the Royal City Literary Arts Society's online magazine, Creative Quills Inkverse, North Vancouver, and as well the 2018 Holy Wow Poets Anthology. And that's just a few of the things that Lozan does. She's a very active person in the community in so many ways, and she hosts events, she helps organize events, she's just humanitarian, and all of her efforts are incredible. I do have a little poem that I wrote for Lozan. Now, some of you may not know that recently Lozan was in a very bad car crash. She's suffering and recovering from concussion, traumatic brain injury. Some of you may not be aware of that, and we're so glad that she can be here today. So as we proceed with the program, if you see Lozan possibly leaving the room, that is because she just needs a little bit of calm, possibly. We'll see how it goes, but she may need to leave the room. So that would be the reason why. So I just wanted to let you know a little bit more about that, because you'll see why I wrote this poem for Lozan. One breath closer. Slowly your colors will return as cherry blossoms on the trees. One day, one breath closer to recovery. One breath at a time. Slowly joy will return. Slowly laughter will surprise your quiet heart. Somewhere over the horizon, a clear day dawns. Light returns to the darkness. A solitary bird sings her freedom song. We are all winters waiting for spring. Your season, my sweet soul sister, shall return, and you will bloom once more.
Solitude can be a crowded and noisy place in our mind. I learned that you can find unmatched beauty to fall in love with in imperfection, in brokenness, and in pain. The God that many of us fear and revere is an artist, a prankster with a good sense of humor. He taught me that nothing is sweeter than the scent of a newborn baby, and nothing can be more intoxicating than a long, passionate kiss from a lover after a long time apart. He taught me that nothing can make you sadder than the memory of the voice of a departed loved one, that loved one that you still wish would walk through that door just one more time.
Thank you, guys. This poem I wrote, this is the first poem I have written since the accident. For those of you who know, and at the end of November, I was involved in a horrific car crash, and I hope none of you ever experience what I've been through. Aside from physical symptom, which thank God I'm healing from well, I sustained a traumatic brain injury. Hello, Jazz. Traumatic brain injury that just altering even who I am, and then just a lot of thing about me is altered, and hopefully it's temporary. For those of you who know me, I'm all this bouncy, bubbly thing. I'm having really hard time. The least thing I do, it takes a lot of energy from me, including just even smiling and being who I am. It actually takes energy. So thank you for being so understanding and kind, and I'm so honored you guys, the crazy storm, and you're here. Without further ado, I'm going to ask my friend here to put that second poem, but don't put volume. I can read it, and you just have the slideshow of the I Am Here, the poetry. So the second one here, you can just have it without volume if you don't mind, yeah? I am here. You won't find me in the abandoned towns, the empty schools, playgrounds, all the collapsed hospitals of my homeland. You won't find me at my friends' houses, on my bicycle in a park, or in a roofless home. In a dark and frightening night, you won't find me in the market that is now colorless and empty. You won't find me on a prayer mat in a mosque that is now a sniper's enclave. You won't find me on a merciless rocky mountain path overflowing with women and children seeking safety under a brutal hot sun. You won't find me covering my ears to drown out the din of the relentless bombing. You won't find me in cities blanketed with smoke, carpeted with the blood of the innocent, oozing beside a fading horizon that begs the sun not to leave at dusk. You won't hear my name mentioned in the keening cries of parents left childless in a mayhem. You won't find me buried along with those perished from hunger, from pain, while longing for peace. You won't find me among those little girls bought and traded and used, spoils of war. You won't find me clinging to dear life on a flimsy boat, crossing the sea in search of a place to call home. You won't find me drowned in the sea, washed up on an unforgiving shore, or wrapped in a golden rescue blanket, unable to speak or cry. You won't find me in the crowd, fleeing the imminent and terrible end. You won't find me fenced in behind a gate which I cannot escape, and at the mercy of an army that does not understand the words I speak. You won't find me dousing flames at a burning refugee camp in Lesbos. You won't find me picking up food scraps in Vienna, and you won't find me escaping bulldozers, crushing my makeshift home on an icy dawn in Calais. You won't find me where I used to belong, or where I have been lost on the journey. I'm no longer there. I'm no longer languishing in a refugee camp. I have been found, and I am here. I am here, just like a little tree. I am planted in a new soil. All you must do is help me grow, because I am the child, and this is our village. This one, it's called the Peace Treaty. Peace Treaty. After blood smears every street, every wall, every white dress, every classroom, and every blade of green grass. After fires consume all toys, all books, all beds, all cars, and all photographs. After cities and peaceful town and villages reduced to rubble, leaving not a single glass unbroken. After children are orphaned, wives widowed, siblings became parents to siblings. After young boys and little girls disappear, and mothers grieve the rest of their lives, loss of offspring. After your peaceful homeland becomes a place you can only go to in dreams and in memories and stories after peacemakers imprisoned, poets killed, journalists silenced, activists tortured, and leaders of a revolution vanish without a trace, after every hospital is bombed, every medical and food envoy is blocked from entering to lend a helping hand, after every refugee tent collapses on its occupant from the weight of the falling snow, and the innocent wither away under the mercy of the element, with no one even survived to bury them. Only after everyone seeking safety is humiliated, beaten, turned away, and is an unwelcome guest, and after looking for safety and home, they are shuffled about like a herd of livestock into foreign land, where they cannot stay and not even allowed to leave. Only after the name of a sovereign nation becomes nothing but bad news on television screen, then and only then, those who waged the war, shed innocent blood, devastated a watchful, helpless humanity. They call on the world to witness history in the making. The eye-catching extravagance affair. Leaders celebrate, smile, embrace, and shake hands in front of clicking cameras to sign the peace treaty.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Such powerful poetry. I think that's why I'm sort of feeling like anxious and like kind of like, because your poetry is just so amazing, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, I want this to be so, I don't even know what I've never had nerves like this in like 5 years of doing poetry events. But there's something about today, it seems so extra special and so important, because your poetry really is important and it needs to be out there in the world. So buy her book and send it away, send it to people. It's a great gift. Share the word. So I will skip ahead to, because Herb Bryce, he's a member of the Holy Bow Poets. He really wanted to be here today to read a poem or two for Lozan, but due to the weather, he's decided to stay home safe in Maple Ridge, and we're glad of that. We want everyone to be safe. The next poem I shall read is called Cruel Colors of War. Cruel colors of war. No longer green are our trees. No longer do our walls, windows, and doors have color. No longer are our skies blue. Not even our flesh is natural. The wind stopped blowing away the smoke that chokes the breath. Cool breezes and fresh air abandoned our land. Birds flew away, and just like the children, stopped filling our days with lively flow, joy in the air, laughter that made us smile, and songs that made our souls joyfully dance inside. The wars have silenced us, stolen our smiles, and painted us all with the gray and cruel colors of war. This next poem is called The Ode to Elizabeth Siddell. Elizabeth Siddell was a poet and also an artist. She was married to Rossetti, yes? And apparently after she passed away, he said he saw her ghost every day for 2 years. Yes. And there's a very famous painting by Rossetti of Elizabeth Siddell. Yes, and there's another famous painting called Ophelia. She was posing as like Hamlet, Ophelia from Hamlet, I think, but I cannot remember the artist's name of that. But Rossetti has this most famous painting of Elizabeth, which he did after her death. And I also had read something that he had buried a whole bunch of poetry for her, with her, and then he wanted it later. So they brought the body up and they published the poems later. So very interesting. I don't even know what started you to write this poem, so. Yes, an intense love story. Intense love story. An ode to Elizabeth Siddell, the woman who was a muse, painter, and ghost, born July 25th, 1829, and passed away February 11th, 1862. What would they call me when I tell them I am in love with you? What names would they call me behind my back after it is revealed to them that I am in love with a ghost? Who would remain my friend, and who would dare to defend me when they plot and plan to restrain and take me away to a strange and lonely place? A dark room, a barred window, and a locked door that would cure my ailment of loving a legend that lives in never-fading paintings created a century ago. What makes them sure love has a cure? What makes them believe joyous glee and smiling faces are a sign of a peaceful and a content spirit? What makes them assume legends are just fading stories, soon to be forgotten? Why does my heart yearn with desire, longing for a love that can never be satisfied in this lifetime? Gazing into the deep sadness on the ancient canvas, I hear your spirit speaking to my heart. Such beautiful sadness, such stunning brokenness, such a graceful chaos, and what a haunting, unforgettable face. Delight me, my beloved, my muse, and open your eyes just once and see me before they lay your mortal body to rest, and I would live for eternity, fulfilled that you granted my wish. When we meet again in another world, in another life, or in another universe, I will remind you that you and I were in love long before we ever met. Thank you. I love that poem. Beautiful. So, we're good to go? So, I see someone in the audience way up there. Sherry Dugal. Are you ready, Sherry? Could you read your poems now? Yeah? Okay. So, the wonderful Sherry Dugal, a fabulous poet in her own right, and a very good friend of Lozan's, is here today. She'll be reading 2 poems written by Lozan, one called Temporary Vessel, and the other is entitled Leave Me. So please welcome the amazing, wonderful Sherry Dugal.
Hello everyone. Bear with me. I've had this cough for about 5 weeks, so hopefully I won't get a cough attack, I pray. I see some of my lovely poet friends. Lovely to see you all after so long. My heart always sinks when I think of what Lozan has been through. And I just hope she heals as fast as possible. She's a special soul. She does magic with words, and she's passionate about so many different causes, human rights. She's always out there at front and center. That's why I admire her so much. Okay. And just got to find those 2 lovely poems. One of them is called Leave Me. And the thing that struck me about this, I'll use her beautiful book. I'll hold it, my copy of her latest creation. This poem was beautiful, of course, and I think a lot of people who have been in difficult relationships can relate to. Because in many cultures, even in Indian culture, divorce or separation, oh my God, it's a taboo. It's a shameful experience. People judge you, especially in collectivist cultures, which are more family-oriented and which really focus on what other people think instead of the individual. So this poem, I think, is for anyone who's in a difficult relationship. Sometimes it's just best to let go or to leave me. And this is the title of the poem, Leave Me. When you lay down pretending you are there, yet you are not, leave me. When you lay in our bed next to me, unable to sleep, with your heart burdened, wondering why you are here, leave me. When you find yourself sad, heading home to face me when you'd rather work longer hours just to avoid coming home to me, leave me. When you cannot recall the last time you said, I love you, and you have no desire to say it anymore, leave me. When you find it more gratifying to poke fun and embarrass me rather than say kind words about me in the presence of others, when your sarcasm is a statement of how you truly feel being with me, leave me. When you lose all desires you had in the past to please me, to make me happy and to help me, when you withhold affection, find any excuses to ignore and throw insults rather than embrace and work it out with me, leave me. When nothing I do for you matters, when nothing I do for myself matters to you, when none of my dreams, my ambitions, or my passions matters to you, when no one I like matters to you, when I become nothing but a roommate or a burden to you, leave me. When you find yourself lonely without me, breathe a sigh of relief, wish me well, and carry on living your life without me, because you're free now. Realizing all along, all you had to do when you had stopped loving me was leave me. The next beautiful poem I'll be reading is Temporary Vessel. The soul is greater than anything else. What did they say? Energy is neither created or neither destroyed. And our physical body may disintegrate, it may not last, but our soul is always eternal, of course. And this is the idea behind this particular poem. Okay. When your eyes no longer allow you to see clearly, when your gut doesn't function the way it used to, when your joints stop bending as easily as they once did, when your mind fades to the point of not knowing who is looking back at you, when you look in the mirror, realize this is a temporary vessel and your spirit is eternal. When your sleep abandons you, leaves you restless, weary, and on edge, when the cells in your body continue to grow uncontrollably, and medical treatment is no longer an option, to even ease the pain, realize this is a temporary vessel. This is a temporary vessel, and your spirit is eternal. When a hospital room becomes a prison and your body begins to weaken in slow motion, you will realize that your physical body only belonged to you when you were well. And remember, your spirit is eternal. This is only your temporary vessel. This is only your temporary vessel. Your spirit is eternal, well and free. Gravity cannot pull it down, pain cannot slow its journey, and no form of cancer can even touch it. So when family and friends gather around you, heartbroken, helpless, and speechless, speak to them, thank them for the memories. This is what her poetry does.
Qué hermosa eres, igual que los ríos que llegan a la mar. Esa tristeza de tu alma no te deja olvidar. Tantas sonrisas tratan de cubrir una vida entera.
Before you take your last finite breath, thank them for being there with you. Forgive those who couldn't be there. Pardon those who harmed you, and even those who can't forgive you. Thank them all for loving you before you embark on your new journey without this temporary, fragile vessel.
Ojos muertos de tanto llorar, igual que un pájaro herido que no es capaz de volar. Ay, las cuerdas de tu corazón lloran como el llanto de un violín. Esta es la historia de tu vida.
Thank you so much, Sherry. That was beautiful reading. You touched all of us. And your poems, I mean, Lozan, see what you do to us? But that's a good thing. It's good. It's very good. So, we have next on our schedule today, Alan Hill. Yes, Alan Hill is the Poet Laureate of the City of New Westminster. So please welcome Alan Hill.
This one's called Apologies to the Gods, an ode to the Tullum of Coba, Mexico. Under the hot and muggy December sun, somewhere in the heart of a majestic forest, near a turquoise, vast and mighty ocean, I found myself standing on sacred land, uninvited, improperly dressed, and without permission, yet welcomed. In a vast, mystic jungle, where centuries-old ruins, abandoned temples and towering structures stood proud and unafraid of a jungle so relentless trying for decades upon decades to transform it into a mouldering pile of rocks. I stood there wondering, how long was your existence a secret? Who betrayed you? Who exposed you? And for how much? How many looted what you kept inside for so long? Where have your people gone? Who was the fool that graffitied over your last remaining murals with his spray can? What spell did you cast on me? What is it about you that made something in me awaken? How did you make my inner voice speak a language borrowed from the past? How did you make me hear your music, hear the chanting of ancient prayers, and smell your smoking incense that enveloped me like a cozy knitted shawl? How did you make me see ghostly tribal dancers, move to the melodies of heart-throbbing drums, dressed in colours and patterns unknown to this world? What kind of a spell am I under? What transformed this redundant tourist trap into a magical, memorable one? At the foot of your holy temple, towering over humanity, I can hear you pleading and waiting for us to listen to your stories. How else will a generation after us know about you, unless we hear you, understand you, and share you? No one must ever forget you. Each step I take closer to you, I can hear the earth begging me to remove my shoes, for I am walking on a holy site. I am asked to bare my feet, to feel a connection to this land where centuries ago, mighty men have knelt, sacrificed innocent blood, poured like water, while the stomping feet and echoes a warrior battle cry that stirred up dust, shook the weak and pleased the gods. I look down from the steps of the pyramid. I see buses unloading another pack of tourists, colourfully dressed, cameras in hand, extended selfie sticks ready. Most are obnoxious and speaking loudly. I continue to climb the steps, humbly, slowly, and respectfully. I feel a strange sense of duty to place my dusty limestone-covered hand upon my heart. On the altar at the top of the Tullum, I feel my undeserving presence at such a magical, cultural, and mystique land. I felt an unusual cool, crisp breeze blowing in my face. It made me smile with relief, as if I was given a spiritual consent to be there. I wondered as I observed the crowd of tourists giggle, speak loudly, take photos with selfie sticks everywhere, video chat and pose without taking a moment in quietness to know how it feels to be in the presence of ancient gods. I felt a duty to apologize. My apologies for not knowing about you before I came here. My apologies for being conscious of the decay of your height and splendor that was built for you in far olden times. My apologies. Our brilliant sun, wind, rain, and our steps are the reason your temple no longer holds color. My apologies for asking myself, have I seen you before? Have I been here before? Am I reliving a dream? Have I dreamt before, or had my spirit lived this life in the past? My apologies for not realizing the very existence of your mighty temple to this day is all the proof I need for your ancient pride. I need of your ancient pride, wealth, and power. Forgive my ignorance, and forgive my rowdy fellow tourists. We mean no disrespect. My apologies, my humble apologies to the gods. Thank you.
So thank you to Alan Hill, our poet laureate. Yes, and he's also president of the Royal City Literary Arts Society. Have to get my plugs in there, guys. So next up we will have the Una Bruns. She'll be reading 2 poems by Lozan. Warrior Up and You Belong to the Land. Please welcome Una Bruns. Una Bruns is also a poet and a photographer and just a fabulous person. Can you tell that we're all friends? Yes, we are. Yes. Please welcome Una Bruns. You want in the book? You need to look at that? You all good?
Yeah.
Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you, and welcome everybody, and thank you for coming out in the chilly weather. I wish to thank Lozan for inviting me to read from her wonderful book and wonderful poems, and thank her husband Harry for looking after my friend. Thank you for always being there for her. Lozan is an environmentalist, and she loves the land. So this poem that she has written is called You Belong to the Land. A sea of floating garbage, suffocating our ocean, stopping them from naturally cresting, curling, rippling, and rolling the sea foam like a carpet under our feet on sandy shores. I feel the sadness and the gasping for air of a restrained, mighty sea. I smell the stench of our insatiable desire to endlessly buy, endlessly consume, and endlessly toss trash into bins that magically get taken away from our back doors each week. I hear my civilized fellow humans shrugging it away because that's not my beach. Why should I care? I sit alone and cry, feeling the spirit pain in my body as the living waters and the sacred land plead for me to awake, to do something about it. I join the others who are taking pledge of poverty, pledge of minimalism, pledge of zero wasting, living, and pledge of living off the land. Just as the ancient people lived harmoniously for thousands upon thousands of years without destroying the land and invading other nations or evoking the black snake that is destroying us all. I sit and listen to an elder grabbing me by the arm, holding me tight, making sure I am paying attention to wisdom as they are entrusted to pass on to us. When blood in our veins return to the sea, and the earth in your bones return to the ground, perhaps then you will remember that this land does not belong to you or to me. It is you who belong to this land. Let us start now and be conscious of how each one of us is capable of making a difference. Thank you. The next poem is called Warrior Up. So let's warrior up. Wake up your conscience. Wake up your senses. Wake up your soul. Wake up your rested feet, your untroubled hands, and wake up your distracted mind. This is the call for you and for me, to wake up the sleepless warrior inside. It is time to stand taller than you have ever stood before. Do not wait for the disaster to happen. Do not wait for others. Take the first step. Do not let the wicked voices drown out the truth you already know, and do not let them silence you and tuck your head back in bed before they carry out their evil deeds. Do not wait for a catastrophe to land on our doorsteps. Do not wait until houses drown, bridges collapse, and hospitals get flooded. Do not wait until someone you know is harmed Do not wait until plants no longer grow on our land. And do not wait until water in your streams become toxic. Do not wait until you cannot breathe the air. Do not wait until the fish in the sea wash up by the thousands upon the shores. Do not wait until a child tugs at your sleeve, looks up at you, and asks, "Why did you not make it stop? Why did you not try? Why did you not sleep through all that? Why did you ignore the call? Do something. Wake up, stand up, speak up, and be bold. Our planet needs you now because water is life, and money, yes, money cannot be eaten." Thank you.
Hello. So Lozan is going to be coming back up, and she wants to read the title poem, Dreamers Needed, from her lovely book. And her book is available for sale. When you came in, there's a lovely table set up with a beautiful display. And her books are $20. And you have a few of your first two books as well for sale, I believe. So you have all three of your books there. And there's also a card set up. If you would like to sign, congratulations, and a little bit of a note to Lozan. Please sign the card if you haven't already done so when you're leaving. And so Lozan will read her poem, and then we'll do a little bit of a Q&A. And we'd also, something about sweets. There might be some sweets. And we'd like to do a very acknowledgement and thank you to Kurdish House, who helped organize and brings this all together this afternoon. So thank you so much to Kurdish House. Yes, and Lozan will speak more about that possibly. So, welcome Lozan. Yes.
Huh? Yes, just that one, yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, the Kurdish House been here for a while. It's just not as noisy as I would like them to be. I want them to be a lot more noisy. This is one of the things, we get events going and get people out, and we try to encourage, trying to help people also Kurdish people who come to Canada to get more acclimated and get used to the culture and all that. And there's a lot of very beautiful integration programs they do. A lot of it is just volunteering. It's just people gathering up for a cause. And then a lot of the causes I noticed the Kurdish House does is peaceful causes. Whenever there is something happening in the world that our mainstream media intentionally keep us not aware of, the Kurdish House come right, a full blast, they come right out, they go to the art gallery and they bring awareness to that. So they do amazing thing. They do beautiful parties at Nowruz, by the way, I heard. I don't want to miss it this year. So I would like to say thank you so much for holding it, this event. Thank you so much. I really am thankful. I have been involved with the Kurdish community of the Lower Mainland since 1995, and I have done a lot of work. But I'm one of those weird people that if I do good for another 100 years and nobody even know my name, I'm okay with it, as long as the good work is done. With Kakshwan, on the other hand, he says, listen, you did so much good job, good work. It's our turn to do something good for you, for God's sake. Come on, let us. I was like, please, thank you. I'm so happy. Thank you. Thank you. So if you have, as I told you, because of the brain injury, I might not be able to answer every question, but after this poem, I will be, if you can raise your hand after the poem and let me know if you have a quick question to ask me about the book, about my poetry, about any general thing. Hopefully it's a short question, I'll try. Then we can just, I guess that'll be the finale for whatever got sweet stuff happening at the end. So this poem, the title, so the first poem, the first poetry book I dedicated to my uncle Sirwan, who couldn't come today, unfortunately, due to the snow in Coquitlam. The first one was dedicated to my uncle. The second one I dedicated to my maternal grandmother, which I found out after years, decades after she died, that she was an Armenian genocide survivor. So she was an infant who was carried by her own brother and sister to Kurdistan, and long story short, I'm here. So I dedicated the book to her. The third book, I decided it's about time to do something for my boys. So this book is dedicated to my sons, Trey and Wyatt, and there's a little photo of them there saying that no one on earth knows how my heart beats on the inside but you. So, like mama thing, like, baby inside here in your heart. So dreamers needed, when the John Lennon song, "Как Шван Пуро," says, like you're just a dreamer, dreamer. But you know what? We've had enough politicians and highly educated and elite and wealthy people to destroy the planet for us. Yet they done a really bad job. So I believe I'm along with these, all of you fine people that believe that dreamers, simple, basic, ordinary people can change the world. Yes. Sipping from a princess teacup at a tea party. And adults are dreamers. They are the biggest cheering fans of child who just learned to ride a bicycle. Dreamers jump on bouncy beds, spread their wings, arms like wings, and they smile back while stuck in traffic at that one child waving at them in a noisy school bus. Dreamers hug hurting friends and cry with them more than share just food, drink, and laughter. They help those who can't do much. They help elderly. They telephone a family or a friend out of the blue just to say, hey, how you've been. And dreamers are the ones that stop a terrible rumor about somebody by not speaking of it. Dreamers fly kites on windy days, they blow bubbles, and they make a toddler giggle. They operate a remote control car like a child with the tongue sticking out to make others laugh. If you do not tell an addict to just quit, if you do not tell your depressed friend to stop crying, if you do not tell a hurting person with PTSD to get over it, if you do not pressure the poor to keep up with the latest trends, then you, my friend, are a dreamer. Dreamers are fearless yet kind. They are untamed yet polite. They are courageous and wise. Dreamers listen to elders when they talk. They listen to the planet when the spirit talks, and they listen to that inner gut voice that tells them, go for it. Dreamers stand in the face of a police water cannon while demanding the government to stop the genocide of a rainforest and its inhabitant. They chain themselves to monster machines designated to dig trenches through freshwater stream to dump fracking toxins into it. They stand tall holding a single eagle feather in the path of a giant semi carrying pipelines to pump in tar sands. Dreamers want wars to end. They want weapons to be laid down. Dreamers want peace in every corner of the earth, not just at home. Dreamers know that the issue of income and wealth inequality is a greater and moral issue of our time. Dreamers are selfless. They stand up, they speak up because they want a better future for a generation that comes after them and the generation after that. Dreamers teach youth to awaken and rise. If someone attempts to insult you and call you, hey, you're a dreamer, tell them, I'm not the only one. Dreamers are awake. That's right. Dreamers are awake. Dreamers are desperately needed in our tumultuous and hurting world. Our world today is silencing truth tellers, dumbing down children in schools, making them conform like soldiers sent into battle, performing acts inhumane and war crimes, dehumanizing, hurting people because they are in uniform, because people are suffering consequence of greedy few who want to destroy a planet for profit. Dreamers will save us. Let us raise our children well and teach them to be resilient, resourceful, less wasteful. Teach them to never, ever stop dreaming of a better world. Raise them to be conscious of every action and every choice they make. Teach them to be respectful to the elders and listen to the wisdom. Fill this generation's heart with empathy toward every living being on the planet. Teach them to be compassionate. We can all do that by becoming dreamers. If you have a question for me, I'll remove my earplug so I can hear you. Yes. Yes, I have a question.
For those who don't know you that well, when did your writing journey begin?
Oh,
How did it start?
thank you. I was about 13 years old, but I remember when I wrote some poetry. I didn't know they were poetry. I wrote them, and some girls at school took it and read it out loud in front of the class, and they thought it was hilarious to make fun of me. And I cried all the way home. I ripped the poem. I had to chase them to get my poems back. I called them my feelings in words. I didn't know what poetry was, honestly. I called them feelings in words. And I remember running home, tears in my eyes, I'm crying, and my uncle saw me. My uncle didn't come here. His name is Lozan Yamolky. His picture is on my first book. You see that one? That's him. I love my uncle. He told me, sweetheart, they're making fun of you because they don't know how to write feelings into words. So he said, you're a poet, my dear. And for years, I destroyed many, many poems because I write from such a deep part of me that I'm terrified for the world to know how much there is sadness in me, and I empathize with what's happening around me. So in 2013, through Facebook or connection through Holy Wow, I found out about poetry, and I started reading out loud, reading poetry to people. So when my uncle told me, hey, you have enough poetry to put in a book. And I said, Uncle, fine, I did it. And I said, Uncle, you are my hero, when I was about to publish the book. And he said, I am no hero. He says, I'm just a poet. So be careful what you tell a poet, because you never know what you say. It goes on a book. So that's what the uncle says. I'm no hero. So my book says I'm no hero. We're just poets. So my fear is, since the accident, I normally write about 1 to 4 poems a day. Since the car crash, I have written 1 poem, just that one you heard in the beginning. So I'm hoping, I have a few friends who've been in a car accident and concussion, and they encourages me. They said, don't be too afraid, it's going to come back, you know. So I'm thankful to be here.
And we're so thankful to have you here.
Thank you.